it's Crystal here again with the Applewood Auto Group, and today we'll be taking a quick look at the 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV. And it's a great option for those who are not fully ready to make the full jump to driving an EV. So this will be the best of both worlds because you do have the choice of being able to drive electric, but also you'll have the choice to have your gasoline engine be there to support you and for you to use at your disposal. So right under the hood we have here is a 2.4 liter engine, which is there in case if you need to back up from the front powered motors just in those tricky driving situations. And of course, this one here, you will have your 20 kilowatt hour battery that's actually right underneath the cabin to free up a little bit more space for the passengers, as well as it also works as to keep your vehicle more grounded. So by lowering the center of gravity, it'll help you become more stable when driving on the road. Although I would say it's not earning too many points in the looks department, but I do think its practicality is off the charts and more than enough would make up for that. For example, the fuel economy for this is 3.6 liters per 100 kilometers, which is amazing. And let's say if you're just doing some city driving, you can easily just on full electric because you do have 61 kilometers of full EV range, which is amazing before you even have to let the gas kick in, which is awesome. And on top of that, if you do need to do a little bit of extra towing, you can tow up to 1,500 pounds too. And one thing you may not know about the Outlander as I open up this trunk here is that you can actually get it as a 7-seater, which is great. But one thing I do recommend you keep in mind is that even though you can get it at 7 seats, the car overall was still built off the platform of what is a 5-seater mid-size SUV. So just keep that in mind before you shove in a bunch of adults before you go on for a long road trip. And getting to the back seat, I honestly was surprised by how spacious it is because from the outside, I can feel a little, it can look like it's a little bit cramped. But honestly, with the whole panoramic moonroof up top, it honestly feels really nice and spacious. But since I am of shorter stature, I don't know if I'm the best judge when it comes to spaciousness, but personally, I still do have a lot of legroom as well as a lot of headroom. And most importantly, your back passengers can also have their own climate control and heated seats too, which is probably the most important. So I started driving on the road. We're coming to a red light, and then I'm still taking a little bit of time to familiarize myself with how all the buttons are laid out for the center console. One thing I do have to say though, kind of not the drive mode specifically for you to cycle between going through EV, just like normal gasoline driving versus like saving with a little bit of regenerative braking. I do have to say, I wish that button was either closer to the steering wheel or maybe a little bit closer to my shift knob, because right now that button is situated kind of on the very edge of the center console, which means that if I am looking to press the button and make a switch over, I do have to take my eyes off the road for just a little bit longer than I would like to. More so is for safety reasons. And currently right now I am driving on the normal mode, so I'm just going to press the button and change myself to EV, and almost immediately I can like feel the difference. Currently, I do have to say the car does feel very, the best way I can describe it is that the bottom of the vehicle feels very stable, probably because of the extra weight of the battery, but I do feel a little bit more like rocking and swaying towards the top. Probably because of how the weight is currently distributed. But when it comes to steering right now, I wouldn't say it is neither heavy nor light. It's kind of right in the middle. It's okay, a little bit lighter than what I would prefer, but there's no complaints about it so far. So while we're on the topic about talking about the steering wheel, the material here does feel really nice and plush. Now, I don't remember exactly whether this was leather or leatherette, but to be honest, I don't think it makes that big of a difference. It's not a big deal to me. And aside from that, other materials that I do like and the subtle detail that they paid attention to would definitely be the stitching on the seats. It does make it feel a little bit more upscale. And I know earlier in the video I talked about how I didn't like the look of the exterior too much, but I honestly don't think the interior is bad at all. I personally like how they designed the interior more than the exterior, I would say. The exterior definitely looks a lot more rugged, but then the interior design does make the Outlander feel a lot more upscale and luxurious. And some other features that I think would definitely pair with those two words would be you do have your Bose sound system as well as your memory seating. And for the driver, you do have an 8-way powered seat with lumbar support. And for the front passenger, you'll have a 4-way powered seat, which is really nice. So I just pressed the button to turn on the regenerative braking while I'm driving the EV mode, just to kind of see how it feels. So I'm just gonna let go of the accelerator really quickly. It does a pretty good job, but I don't think it's as responsive as the other regenerative braking systems that I've used so far. Let me see. Yeah, it's not as responsive, which can be a pro or con depending on how you look at it. It could be a con, because let's say when you are in certain situations where you do want to brake a little bit more quickly, the milliseconds that you save from braking as soon as you let go could make a lot of a difference when you are in those type of situations. But a pro I would say is that sometimes when, a pro that I would have to say is that when you are suddenly letting go or just getting started to get used to regenerative braking, you don't feel as much kind of stuttering when you're first trying to get used to it. So it does make the transition of learning EV a lot smoother. And before we say goodbye, I did want to save the best piece of information for last, because Mitsubishi's warranty is actually one of the best in the game, if not the best. Because for the lithium-ion battery as well as the powertrain, the warranty is 10 years or 160,000 kilometers, whichever one comes first. As for the limited vehicle warranty, it is 5 years or 100,000 kilometers. As for its roadside assistance, it's also 5 years, but with unlimited kilometers. So with that in mind, tell us in the comments below if you would like to take home the Outlander PHEV as your next car.